Ever wondered what it's like to be the most wanted person in the kingdom? To go from a national hero to a fugitive, hunted by the very king you once served? This isn't a modern-day thriller. It's the incredible true story of David, the shepherd boy who became a giant slayer, and then spent 15 years on the run. How did he survive? How did he outwit a jealous king with an entire army at his command? Let's dive into the gripping saga of David's life as a fugitive. Our story begins not with a chase, but with a celebration. David, fresh from his victory over Goliath, is the talk of the town. The people sing his praises. Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. This chant, meant to honor him, instead plants a seed of deadly jealousy in King Saul's heart. Saul, once a mentor to David, now sees him as a threat to his throne. The palace, once a place of honor, becomes a death trap. It starts with subtle threats. Twice, while David is playing the harp to soothe the king's troubled mind, Saul hurls a spear at him, trying to pin him to the wall. David narrowly escapes each time. The message is clear: his life is in danger. He can no longer trust the king. The turning point comes with the help of his dearest friend, Jonathan, Saul's own son. Jonathan confirms his father's murderous intentions, and in a tearful farewell, he urges David to flee. This is where the chase officially begins. David's first stop is Nob, a town of priests. Desperate and on the run, he lies to the high priest Ahimelech, claiming he's on a secret mission for the king. He gets consecrated bread to eat and, fatefully, the sword of Goliath himself. This act of desperation has horrific consequences. When Saul learns of it, he orders the massacre of the entire town of Nob, a brutal act that shows the depths of his paranoia. Only one priest, Abiathar, escapes to tell David the tragic news. The weight of this guilt must have been immense for David, a stark reminder that his flight put others in grave danger. From Nob, David flees into enemy territory, the Philistine city of Gath, the hometown of Goliath. It's a bold, almost insane move. He's hoping to be anonymous, but he's recognized immediately. Isn't this David, the king of the land? The Philistines say. Trapped and terrified, David has to think fast. He feigns madness, scribbling on the gates and letting saliva run down his beard. The king of Gath, disgusted, dismisses him as a harmless lunatic. "Do I lack madmen?" he says, "that you have brought this fellow to behave like a madman in my presence?" It's a humiliating but brilliant escape. David realizes he can't survive alone. He finds refuge in the cave of Adullam. And here, something amazing happens. He's not alone for long. The Bible says his family joins him, and then everyone who was in distress, and everyone who was in debt, and everyone who was discontented gathered to him. So, he became captain over them. And there were about 400 men with him. This ragtag group of outcasts becomes David's private army, his loyal band of brothers who will stick with him through thick and thin. He's no longer just a fugitive, he's a leader of men. Life on the run is a constant game of cat and mouse. David and his men move from wilderness to wilderness, from the forest of Hereth to the wilderness of Ziph. The Ziphites, hoping to curry favor with Saul, betray David's location not once, but twice. Saul closes in, his army of 3,000 elite soldiers surrounding David's mere 600 men. It seems like then. Just as Saul is about to capture him, a messenger arrives with urgent news: the Philistines are raiding the land. Saul is forced to abandon the chase to defend the kingdom. David escapes by a hair's breadth. He names the place Selah-Hamah-Leketh, which means the rock of parting or rock of escape. This relentless pursuit leads to one of the most famous episodes in David's life, his encounter with Saul in the cave at En-Gedi. Saul, pursuing David, enters the very cave where David and his men are hiding to relieve himself. David's men urge him, "This is the day the Lord has given your enemy into your hand." This is his chance to end the chase, to kill the man hunting him, and claim the throne. But David refuses. He secretly cuts off a corner of Saul's robe, but his conscience immediately bothers him even for doing that. When Saul leaves the cave, David calls out to him, showing him the piece of his robe. "See, my father, see," he cries, "I have a piece of your robe in my hand. Since I cut off the corner of your robe and did not kill you, you may know and see that there is no wrong or treason in my hands. I have not sinned against you, though you hunt my life to take it." Saul is overcome with emotion. He weeps and admits his own guilt. "You are more righteous than I," Saul says, acknowledging that David will surely be king. He makes David swear not to cut off his descendants. For a moment, there is peace. But Saul's paranoia is a sickness that can't be cured by a single moment of clarity. The chase resumes. The Ziphites betray David again, and Saul comes after him with his 3,000 men. Once more, God delivers Saul into David's hands. This time, David and his nephew Abishai sneak into Saul's camp at night. They find the entire army asleep, with Saul lying in the center, his spear stuck in the ground by his head. Abishai is ready to end it. "Let me pin him to the earth with one stroke of the spear," he says. Again, David refuses. "Do not destroy him," David says, "for who can stretch out his hand against the Lord's anointed and be guiltless?" Instead, he takes Saul's spear and his water jug as proof. From a safe distance, David calls out to Saul's commander, Abner, shaming him for failing to protect his king. Once again, David shows Saul the proof of his mercy. And once again, Saul is filled with remorse, blesses David, and promises to stop hunting him. He returns home, and this is the last time the two men ever see each other. Despite Saul's promise, David knows he can't trust him. He makes another risky decision. He returns to the Philistines. This time, he approaches King Achish of Gath not as a madman, but as a mercenary commander with 600 loyal soldiers. Achish, seeing an opportunity to use this powerful Israelite warrior, gives David the town of Ziklag to live in. For the next 16 months, David lives among his enemies, playing a dangerous double game. He raids Israel's other enemies to the south, but tells King Achish he is raiding the towns of Judah. He cleverly builds his own strength while convincing the Philistines that he has become their loyal ally. This period of relative stability ends when the Philistines gather their forces for a massive war against Israel. King Achish trusts David so completely that he insists David and his men march with them into battle against Saul's army. David is in an impossible position. How can he fight against his own people, against King Saul, the Lord's anointed? He's saved from this dilemma by the other Philistine commanders, who don't trust him. They demand that Achish send David back, fearing he will turn on them in the middle of the battle. Reluctantly, Achish sends him home. When David and his men return to Ziklag, they are met with a horrifying sight. The Amalekites have raided their town, burned it to the ground, and carried off all their families, their wives and children. David's own men, in their grief and anger, talk of stoning him. This is perhaps David's lowest point. He has lost everything. But the Bible says, David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. He inquires of the Lord, receives a promise of victory, and leads his men in a swift pursuit. They find the Amalekites celebrating, rescue everyone, and recover all their property. While David is reclaiming his family, the fateful battle between the Philistines and Israel takes place on Mount Gilboa. It's a devastating defeat for Israel. King Saul's sons, including David's beloved friend Jonathan, are killed. Saul himself, wounded and facing capture, takes his own life. The news reaches David, and his reaction is not one of triumph, but of profound grief. He mourns for Saul and Jonathan, composing a beautiful and heart-wrenching lament known as the Song of the Bow. How the mighty have fallen, he weeps. After 15 long years, the chase was finally over. The man who had hunted him was gone. David had survived everything: a king's jealous rage, betrayal, starvation, constant danger, and the loss of his own family. He survived through his courage, his cleverness, his loyalty to God, and his refusal to take vengeance into his own hands. He gathered followers, built a loyal army, and waited for God's timing. His long and painful journey as a fugitive forged him into the leader he was destined to be, preparing him to unite a fractured nation and become Israel's greatest king. What do you think was the key to David's survival? Was it his faith, his cunning, or his loyal men? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into epic historical accounts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.